All right, question. Are Joe and Hunter Biden still on the take? On the take from China, on the take from Russia, on the take from Ukraine? Well, let's ask Senator Chuck Grassley, ranking member, Judiciary Committee, who's been following this story. Senator Grassley, welcome back, sir. We appreciate it. You know, I've followed all of your comments and your interviews, and we have money paid in 2017, I guess. Actually, the last checks we found were 2018, March 31st, 2018. But, Senator Grassley, does anybody know whether this has ended or not? That's a question. I've asked it a million times. Is there any way of knowing, or what can you tell us? What's your plan?
Well, my plan is always follow the money where it is, and we aren't done following that money yet, and you're probably going to hear more. But what we know at this point is that we have plenty of bank records that show that the Biden family was in cahoots with Chinese business people that were in turn connected to the Communist Party and to the military and maybe even the intelligence. So that raises the question of whether or not this administration's compromised by any of that having happened.
Yeah, no, that's hugely important. It's just that, here's my thought. The Hunter Biden laptop more or less is 2010 to 2017. Okay, so I don't want to go over the old news, the New York Times, the Washington Post. They finally admitted blah, 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 blah. The White House is still in denial. They still call it disinformation. That's utter nonsense. But during that period, as you know, Joe Biden was vice president of the United States. So Tony Bobulinski said, the big guy, we have to save 10% for the big guy. So there was payments being made from China, from Ukraine, from Russia. Did the big guy get any money while he was vice president? We'll get to whether he's gotten any while he's president. But on that somewhat narrower point, sir, did he? Do we have any sense of whether he got money? We know Hunter got money, and we know they were reserving 10% for the big guy. What happened to the big guy's payments when he was vice president?
Well, if you want absolute paper proof of that I can give you documents, I don't have any. But you do have people that are closer to Hunter Biden than I've ever been, because I haven't been close to him. So based upon what those people say, you have to say it. But also, it seems to me like it's ridiculous for the President of the United States to say now, or when he was a candidate, that through all these 7 or 8 year period of time that we've heard about so far, that he didn't ever discuss his son's business with him. You know, I'm in farming with my son. We talk about farming all the time.
He lied. I mean, Bill Barr, former Attorney General Bill Barr, who's had his differences with Trump and other people, but, you know, he said Biden lied. Biden continues to lie, which I think is horrific. Say that, just Russian disinformation. But, you know, you put two and two together. Here's my question, Senator. How do you, I'm out of government, you're still in the government, how do you go about getting answers to this? I noticed that some of your House Republican colleagues now have written a letter to the White House and to the National Archives to try to get more information. I know it's like pulling teeth, but are there ways and means to get at this question? You know, how much money did Hunter Biden get during that period, and how much money did Joe Biden get during this 2010, 2016, 17 period? How do you go about that?
You can only do what I've been doing since August 2019, when I first instituted this investigation, and since then I've had a great deal of help from Senator Johnson. You just follow the money where it takes you, and just remember, we're not only up against Democrats in the Senate that said we were going down a rabbit hole. We had the press that should have known better. And we had people in government that didn't want to pay any attention to it because they didn't want any publicity on it. And they had had the news media, the journalists that ought to be a policeman for our political system to keep it honest. They were in cahoots with them. And, you know, they were even attacking my reputation as a oversight senator. I have a good reputation doing oversight. And they were bad-mouthing that through all this process until just recently you've got these newspapers admitting that they were wrong. But they should have known my reputation and not questioned my reputation.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with you, because whenever I messed with you in the White House, you know, come at me. There's no question about that. So, Senator Grassley, let me ask something else here. Do you think, and is there any evidence, that Hunter Biden has divested himself from these deals, particularly the Chinese investment fund, which is really an arm of the Communist Party? I mean, it's, you know, Miranda Devine has done some work on this with the New York Post, as I'm sure you know. She can't figure out, I mean, in some sense, it looks like he's still involved with the Chinese company. And if he's involved, sir, I got to believe, you know, the big guy, Joe Biden, who was graduated from Veep to actually president, that he's still involved. I mean, do we know if they're out of this game?
Well, all I know is this company, CEFC, that didn't really materialize. And I think what we're looking too much at the Communist Party and the military and the Russian or the Chinese government. A lot of times they don't care whether these business deals go through at all. What they want is access and respectability in the United States. And that's for political gain on their part, and also for military intelligence persons. They want to work their angle into the United States wherever they can. You've heard about certain congressmen that have had close relationships with Chinese people, and so that's behind this as well, and that doesn't get talked about enough, and I think we need to talk about that more from the national security standpoint.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. Senator, last one. When the cavalry comes and you all retake the Senate, what will you do, what can you do to get to the bottom of this mess?
Well, a necessary step in that direction is to go to GrassleyWorks.com if you want to help us get in the majority. So we'll have more of this because we will be chairman of committees. We're going to control the resources. We're going to have, as chairman of committees, get answers to our letters from the last 2 years of the Biden administration, where now, as ranking member for all of the Republicans, they tend to ignore you. They can't ignore me completely because of my reputation. But that's what we're going to do, is more investigation.
Right.
And answer more of your questions that you asked me today that I can't answer.
I understand. Look, I wouldn't mess with you. They shouldn't mess with you either. The cavalry's coming. Hopefully it'll get better. Senator Grassley, sir, thanks for coming back on. Appreciate it. Hope to see you soon.
Anytime you want me, Larry.
You bet. Thanks, sir.